This is podcast number 191, TPV, otherwise known as third-party validation. Now, this is by no means a new term or something that I came up with, but since all of us are guilty of it, I thought I would share a few thoughts about it and see what you think. As always, I am not above reproach on this topic. Since I have begun the effort of building a brand around me, I have the temptation to post something and then anxiously wait to see how many likes I get, to see what my own personal TPV is going to tally up in the forms of likes and comments. It's hard to resist, believe me. I try to have a realistic approach to what I'm doing and what the impact may actually be. Since I do not have a huge audience just yet, I currently don't have anyone who responds negatively to the things that I post. Yet. I know it's coming. There will be people who disagree with the things I say, and that is to be expected. Once you reach a certain tipping point of a size of an audience, there's always going to be at least somebody who has a different opinion than you do and will be willing to share that, especially hiding behind an avatar or posting something on the internet. The next level down from that, of course, is when people go out of their way to spew hate and nastiness and negative energy, basically. That's a good sign you're really getting somewhere, when people actually go out of their way to tell you that you're an idiot. I do my best to be very mindful of what I post. Anything that you send out there into the ether is going to be there forever. Even if I delete a tweet or an Instagram post, there are several ways for people to still have access to those things. Even something as simple as a screenshot means that it is saved for perpetuity. As far as something on my website or other places, there is a thing called the Internet Time Machine, if you're not aware, and it ensures that everything that's ever been put online on the internet ever is traceable and accessible at any point in the future. If you want to check that out, Google search Internet Time Machine and learn a little bit more about it. The cancel culture that we are living in means that one false move against a certain group, and those people will certainly attack you, any people who are sponsoring you, possibly go after your job, all of those things in a huge hurry. I have plenty of opinions that I don't share for those exact reasons. Stopping just short of the cancellation line, I guess, is the new goal. It's become an art form to make sure that you express your opinions and be authentic, and yet toe the line to not piss off enough people to have the desire for you to get canceled. I know I will have broken through and made it to the next level, again, when there's a whole bunch of people who are waiting for me to put out new content just so they can tell me that I'm an idiot or share their opposite opinion or whatever it may be. Despite the fact that it takes time and effort, those people, maybe unwillingly, maybe they don't know this or think about it, will still be contributing to the number of YouTube subscribers that I have, or the number of people who follow me on Twitter or Instagram, things like that. It will be interesting to see how this develops. The days it seems that you aren't somebody until another person wants you canceled, or you have a bunch of people who are mad no matter what you say, are certainly upon us. So to zoom out to the rest of the world, and we see the same thing at the macro level that we do at the micro level I just described above. During the current times of COVID-19 and the pandemic conditions we're living in, all of the protesting and rioting, all that stuff is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. There are people who are angry about a variety of things, and as soon as they get a chance to start yelling their own ideas through social media without realizing the ramifications of those actions. The problem is, it is so easy for people to take things out of context, to edit a video to meet your narrative, cutting things out that would change the story, things like that, that nobody is safe at this point. God help us when things like the fakening really come to fruition. That is the ability to put somebody else's face into a video and make it look like the president of the United States or Joe Rogan or an athlete or whoever it is saying something very, very controversial through a fake video. The better that technology gets, the less and less we will be able to trust anybody who is a public figure or someone who is putting information out online or through social media. If you're living your life based on the number of likes or retweets that you get, you are setting yourself up for a roller coaster ride for sure. You cannot live your life that way based on what other people think or say about you on social media. You have to be responsible for your own life, your own happiness, and most of all, your own self-worth. Think about all of the quote-unquote influencers and other people who make a living simply by posting things that they believe or get paid to believe, etc., and how far off base from reality that really is. Many people are on medications that alter their behavior, or they should be on medications, but they're not. Another thing to factor in, the average IQ in the United States is 98. And throughout the world, it closely follows suit. The algorithms that run the back end of Twitter and Facebook and other platforms are geared towards keeping you on there as often and as long as possible. What is the best way to do that? Controversy. This appeals to the medicated and unmedicated crowds. It appeals to the low IQ people. It certainly impacts everybody by getting people arguing about things so that they will go back and forth at one another for days on end. For the social media platforms, this is mission accomplished, especially when other people get into the fray and come into the defense of a friend or want to share their opinion about something that they disagree with. The goal for the social media companies like Facebook is to get more clicks and more time spent on those sites so they can charge more and more dollars for advertising for the pop-up ads that occur while you're on the social media platforms. It's sad but true. When you factor in all the things that I've just shared in this past paragraph of thoughts, should you really be giving very much, if any, weight to a bunch of strangers' opinions? I would say no for sure. Something you may want to do, as I would suggest as a little homework project if you've never done so, is to read 1984 by George Orwell. That book was written in 1948, and the prophetic nature of it, unfortunately, is showing to become very much a real possibility of the future of our society. The amount of gaslighting and flat-out lying through social media, mainstream media, and more is off the charts these days, and it seems like it's only getting worse. Should you decide to read it, make sure that you pay attention to things like doublespeak and the Ministry of Defense and other play on words that Orwell so artfully crafted into that story that is a complete parallel of today's world. I'm not sure how or when it happens, but I'm holding out hope that we can course correct at some point. It will save me the trouble of moving to Montana and living off the land, completely independent from society as we know it. Because if we keep heading the direction we are, for me, that is a real possibility for sure. I wish you luck with your endeavors. So some additional thoughts on that. I definitely believe that far too many people are way too tied up in their self-worth based on their social media presence, how many people like something that they posted, things like that. The idea of an influencer really being true to their authentic self, not taking a monetary opportunity to advertise a product that they may or may not actually use, things like that, is very difficult, especially when you're starting out. For somebody like Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss that has massive amounts of downloads literally millions of downloads a month, has the luxury of using, for example, a Traeger grill for years and then reaching out to that company and saying, hey, I would love to have you advertise on my podcast, or a particular brand of underwear or clothing or whatever. When you have a platform like that and you are making money, you have the luxury of your integrity not being compromised, hopefully, to pay the bills for the next month. The problem with starting out and trying to build a brand and get recognized and become a thought leader and influencer, things like that, is that you are very susceptible to taking a paycheck from somebody who has a product or service that you may not actually believe in. I'm doing my best to avoid that if at all costs. Because I have a day job, I don't rely on the social media platforms and the advertising that I do to pay my bills for me. In terms of posting something and getting caught up in how many likes and retweets and things like that I have, in all honesty, at this point, I have not had something that's gone viral. So I've never really tasted a high level of success, so to speak, at something like that, and then had to deal with the next post that I do not following suit. I'm sure it'll be kind of tough. I'm sure that will be a great and exciting high if and when I have something that does go viral and lots of people see it, retweet it, share it, things like that, and it gets tons of likes and garners lots of attention. I, like everybody else, am interested and like third-party validation. But I have to remind myself that lots of other people's opinions are not worth having. Lots of attention can be a bad thing, not a good thing. I don't want to live under a microscope and have everybody poring over the details of everything I say and do. I don't want that level of scrutiny for sure. I don't want to be famous. I want to be rich and anonymous. I want to help shorten the learning curve for as many people as I can. But as far as being a celebrity or a movie star or a rock star, that level of fame, I have zero interest in sharing every detail of my life to that level of scrutiny with the entire world. I'm not sure exactly how I will continue to walk that line as I continue to grow as a public speaker and doing other things. Certainly the spotlight gets a little bit brighter week by week, month by month, but there's got to be a happy medium in there somewhere. And I'm going to do my best to find it for sure. I don't want my self-worth and value to be registered on the number of clicks or retweets or likes that I get. I remind myself every day that that's not the true measure of my success. And I certainly hope more and more people start doing the same. I'm sure the world would be a happier place if more of us looked at it in that fashion. As always, I'm here to help if I can. I don't have all the answers, but you are welcome to anything that I know and feel comfortable sharing. Please reach out to me through one of my social media sites or through my website at darrenchatter.com. Would love to hear from you. And again, if I can be of assistance, I certainly will do so. As always, I wish you luck in your endeavors. Thank you for joining me on the Darren Chatter podcast. I'm going to be reading some of my blog posts that I have written so that you can consume this information in an audio format versus reading the blogs if this is more to your liking. I'm going to share with you stories from my past as an athlete, as a coach, as a salesperson, as a business professional, as a VP of sales, everything that I have learned and amassed along the way in my 50 years here on planet Earth. I'm going to hope to share with you in order to help you shorten your learning curve, understand maybe a little different way to look at things, and hopefully learn a few things along the way. So here was the podcast you tuned in for. I hope you enjoy it. Please reach out to me when you can and let me know your thoughts. Thank you.